There's a reason some stones were hidden, not because they lacked beauty, but because they contained too much of it. From temples buried beneath desert sands to volcanoes that still whisper under the moonlight. These are the gems that kings feared, priests blessed, and demons avoided. And the strangest part, the most powerful one of all, might already be sitting quietly in your home, watching the light as you read this. Welcome back to Tops, a special journey for those who dare to look deeper into the things the world has long ignored. Today, we're not just talking about gemstones. We're uncovering the stones once believed to repel darkness, silence spirits, and guard the space between light and the devil. 10 stones, 10 forgotten truths. From the stone that drank blood on ancient battlefields, to the one mystics believed could swallow a curse whole. But stay until the very end, because the stone ranked number one, the one that holds light untouched by darkness, may change how you see every gem that came before it. And who knows? You might already own it without realizing what it truly is. If you feel this could be the beginning of something new, leave a comment below saying, "I like this video," so I know you're walking beside me on this path into the hidden soul of gemstones. And if you're busy and can't finish watching right now, save this video, because I promise you'll want to return. This isn't just a list of minerals. It's a journey through time, myth, and the memories the earth left behind. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter, where each stone reveals its own story in the language of light, shadow, and time. I'm your guide, and this is Tops, where the earth still remembers how light was first born. Number 10, Peridot, the exorcist's gem of light. They called it the gem of the sun, a crystal so radiant that ancient priests refused to wear it at night, not because it lost its glow, but because they believed it could burn away the shadows themselves. This is Peridot, a gemstone born from fire, carried by volcanoes, and feared by darkness. Peridot isn't a gem of wealth or vanity. It's a gem of defiance, forged deep within the Earth's mantle, sometimes even inside meteorites that fell from space. This gem has glowed with the same color as sunrise for nearly 4 billion years. And for centuries, civilizations have sworn that this light was more than beauty. It was protection. In ancient Egypt, high priests mined peridot from the volcanic island of Zabergad in the Red Sea. The legend says the miners worked only at night, guided by the gem's faint green luminescence, because daylight made it vanish into the sand. They called it topazios, the stone of the sun, and believed it held power over jealous spirits and the unclean forces of the underworld. Peridot's color is unlike any other, a vivid lime to olive green, glowing as if lit from within. While emerald reflects light, peridot seems to radiate it, producing a soft flame that no darkness can extinguish. Its shape in nature is often elongated, forming in orthorhombic crystals, like little shards of frozen sunlight trapped in volcanic rock. When polished into gem form, it takes on the look of liquid glass, warm, almost alive. Collectors say that when you hold it under light, you feel its warmth like the memory of the sun. But why across cultures was this stone feared by what we call evil? Because unlike dark stones that absorb, peridot emits. Its light doesn't just reflect, it radiates outward, symbolically cleansing its surroundings. In Christian mysticism, it was placed in church relics to repel demonic visions. In the Middle Ages, exorcists believed it could seal the soul from temptation. And in Hindu and Islamic traditions, it became a talisman of purity and divine guidance, a bridge between the human and celestial. Even today, energy practitioners describe peridot as an auric purifier, a gem that dissolves resentment, envy, and spiritual corrosion. Scientifically, its transparency and double refraction give it a strange illusion. Light seems to pass through twice, as if the stone itself is amplifying brightness. Perhaps that's why ancient cultures saw it as a weapon of light, a gem that multiplied the sun's energy against shadow. Imagine a time when fire was sacred and night was feared. To the people of that age, a glowing green crystal born from volcanic fire was nothing short of divine. It wasn't just a gem, it was a promise that even in the deepest dark, the earth itself could create light. So the next time you see peridot, don't think of jewelry. Think of armor, a natural shield forged in fire and blessed by sunlight, a stone that, even now, carries the echo of ancient prayers against what we cannot see. If you also find this gem strangely comforting, almost alive, leave a comment below. Do you think the light in peridot is just reflection, or something older, something watching back? And one more thing to ponder. Which gemstone by 2026 do you think will rise above even diamond? Not in price, but in power? Number 9. Obsidian, the volcanic mirror that devours evil. They say the first mirror didn't reflect a face, it reflected a soul, and the one who dared to look too long sometimes didn't see their own. That mirror wasn't made by man, it was born from a volcano. This is obsidian, the volcanic glass that ancient shamans used to stare into the unseen and send what they found back into the fire. Unlike the bright stones that shine to attract, obsidian does the opposite. It consumes light. It's a black mirror formed when molten lava cools too fast for crystals to grow. A moment of violence frozen in perfect stillness. You can find it scattered across Mexico, Armenia, Iceland, and Japan, near old volcanic ridges where the earth once tore itself open. Each shard is a scar of creation, sharp, smooth, and utterly silent. When you hold a piece of obsidian to the light, it doesn't sparkle. It swallows the world around it. Yet deep within, hidden beneath that darkness, there's a faint shimmer, a glint of silver or rainbow or gold, a reminder that even darkness carries the memory of light. For thousands of years, civilizations saw obsidian not just as stone, but as a weapon and a ward. The Aztecs and Mayans carved it into ritual mirrors called tezcatl, using them to speak to gods, foresee omens, or banish the restless dead. They believed the black glass opened a window between worlds, and that through it, evil could be seen, named, and sealed away. Shamans wore small obsidian blades on their chests, believing the volcanic force inside would cut through spiritual corruption. In ancient Greece, soldiers carried it as protection from psychic attack, while in medieval Europe, sorcerers used it to trap demonic entities within its surface, the way light gets trapped inside its molten form. Even in Japan, the Ainu people buried shards of obsidian near sacred shrines to keep dark spirits at bay. Obsidian's color, pure, glassy black, comes from trapped iron and magnesium. Its shape, curved blades, mirror discs, arrowheads. Nature's own glass forged sharper than steel. But its energy, in legend, is what made it feared. They said it didn't just reflect darkness, it devoured it. That anyone who carried it walked between two realms, the seen and the unseen, and that demons couldn't follow through their own reflection. Today, many still call it the stone of protection. In energy work, it's said to ground chaos, absorb anger, and mirror deceit, showing a person what they hide even from themselves. It's not a gentle gem. It's one that demands respect. Hold it too long, and you'll see what's lurking in your own shadow. If you find that strangely unsettling or fascinating, leave a comment below. Do you think obsidian protects us from evil, or does it simply reveal the evil that's already there? And if you were to own just one stone to guard your space, would you choose something that shines or something that swallows light whole? Number 8, amethyst, the violet guardian of the mind. They called it the breath of God, a violet crystal said to calm storms, silence temptation, and drive back spirits that whispered in the dark. But what if I told you, this stone once lined the crowns of kings, the rings of bishops, and the weapons of saints who believed it could command the mind of evil itself? This is amethyst, the guardian stone of sanity, the shield against the unseen. Amethyst's story begins not in light, but in shadow, deep inside volcanic rock, where quartz veins crystallize under heat and gas, turning clear stone into royal violet. Its color, ranging from pale lilac to deep imperial purple, comes from traces of iron and natural radiation, locked in hexagonal prisms that shimmer like frozen smoke. You'll find them in Brazil, Zambia, Siberia, and the ancient hills of Greece, where legend says the first amethyst was born, not from the earth, but from a curse. According to Greek myth, the wine god Dionysus once swore vengeance on humankind. He sent his tigers to devour the next mortal who crossed his path. That mortal was a maiden named Amethystos, on her way to pray at the temple of Artemis. To save her, the goddess turned her into a statue of clear quartz. When Dionysus saw what he had done, he wept, his tears of wine staining the crystal purple. From that day, amethyst became the stone of clarity, purity, and resistance to intoxication, both of wine and of the mind. But its story didn't end with myth. In medieval Europe, amethyst was set into rosaries, bishop rings, and cathedral relics. Priests believed it shielded the soul from demonic temptation, that its violet light symbolized divine truth against corruption. Knights wore it engraved with crosses, claiming it protected them from the poison of thought. Even the crown jewels of England hide veins of amethyst, not for their beauty alone, but for their supposed ability to repel psychic and spiritual intrusion. Its color, neither red nor blue but something in between, came to represent balance, the line between fury and serenity, sin and salvation. Its shape, most often a six-sided prism or cathedral cluster, resembles the spires of temples, as if nature itself were building sanctuaries from stone. Modern collectors still treat amethyst as a spiritual filter. In crystal lore, it is said to absorb chaotic energy and convert it into calm focus, the same way ancient healers believed it could turn madness into clarity. Psychologically, that's why it's still called the gem of sobriety. It doesn't fight demons of the underworld. It fights the ones that live in our own heads. So the next time you see a piece of amethyst glowing softly under light, remember, it's not just a stone of beauty. It's a reminder that the greatest battles aren't fought outside, but within. And if this violet flame surprised you, leave a comment. Do you believe stones can protect the mind from what we can't see? Or are they simply reflections of the strength we already hold inside? And tell me this, which gemstone do you think could outshine amethyst in power by 2026? Number 7, black tourmaline, the Earth's electric shield against darkness. Imagine a stone so dark it looks like a piece of night carved into shape. Ancient miners refused to carry it in daylight. Monks buried it beneath monastery walls. And sorcerers claimed it could swallow curses like thunder absorbs lightning. They called it the devil breaker. We call it black tourmaline. Tourmaline is born where the Earth's chaos meets order, in granite veins, volcanic flows, and metamorphic pressure zones stretching from Brazil to Madagascar, from India to Namibia. But the black variety, schorl, is the most feared and revered of them all. Its deep obsidian black columns form naturally in vertical striations, like towers of glass rising from fractured rock. And within those towers flows an invisible force, electricity. Scientifically, black tourmaline carries one of the strongest pyroelectric and piezoelectric properties in nature. When heated or rubbed, it produces an electric charge strong enough to attract dust, ash, and, in ancient eyes, energy itself. To early mystics, this was no coincidence. It was proof that the stone could absorb and transform malice, envy, and evil into harmless static. They believed that what demons feared most wasn't purity, but grounding. In medieval Europe, healers ground black tourmaline into powder and mixed it with holy oil to purify spaces of possession. In Japan, monks placed it at temple gates to trap wandering spirits. And across West Africa, shamans called it the night stone, using it to draw curses out of the body and bury them in the soil, sealing them away. Everywhere it appeared, one story remained constant. Tourmaline doesn't just protect, it redirects. When lightning strikes, tourmaline often occurs nearby in the rock. To ancient priests, that meant the heavens themselves trusted it as a conduit. They called it the stone that eats storms. Its black sheen, laced with metallic lines, looks like molten graphite. But under bright light, it glimmers faintly blue or brown, as if the darkness is alive and shifting. Unlike obsidian, which reflects, or peridot, which radiates, black tourmaline absorbs. It takes the charge, the chaos, the noise, and grounds it into silence. That's why even modern energy practitioners keep it near computers, doors, or worn as pendants close to the heart. It's not about magic. It's about equilibrium. To them, this stone is Earth's reset button, the place where every vibration finds rest. And maybe that's why legends say demons fear it most. Because black tourmaline doesn't fight back with fire or light. It simply refuses to react. It grounds evil, the one thing darkness cannot stand. If this shadow crystal caught you off guard, leave a comment below. Do you believe a stone can really neutralize darkness, or is its power simply what we project into it? And tell me, if one stone could absorb the world's negative energy, should we keep it, or would it eventually shatter? Number 6. Lapis lazuli, the stone of heaven that silenced demons. They say heaven once fell to earth, not as fire, not as light, but as a blue stone that whispered like the night sky. Pharaohs covered their tombs with it. Priests crushed it into dust and painted their gods with its color. And for thousands of years, the world believed this stone could banish voices not of this world. This is lapis lazuli, the gemstone of kings, the guardian of souls, and the sky turned to stone. Lapis lazuli is unlike any other gem. It doesn't sparkle. It glows from within, a deep ultramarine blue streaked with gold veins of pyrite, like constellations frozen inside the night. Its surface looks alive, breathing with the light of forgotten stars. Geologically, it's a metamorphic rock made of lazurite, calcite, and pyrite, born from limestone transformed under ancient tectonic fire. But to ancient eyes, it wasn't rock. It was heaven itself made solid. The world's finest lapis comes from Badakhshan, Afghanistan, where it's been mined continuously for over 6,000 years. Longer than gold, longer than diamonds. Caravans once carried it along the Silk Road to Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Byzantium. The Egyptians called it the Stone of Isis, believing it could open the gates between the human and the divine. In temples, high priests carved lapis into scarabs and eye amulets, placing them on mummies' foreheads to guard their souls from demonic whispers in the afterlife. The Book of the Dead describes lapis as the stone that sees truth through the night. It was said to calm madness, dissolve lies, and silence the trickster spirits that thrive in confusion. When crushed into pigment, it became ultramarine, a sacred blue used to paint the robes of Mary in medieval cathedrals, not just for beauty, but for protection. Because blue, they believed, was the color Satan could not mimic. Painters risked their lives smuggling lapis dust across deserts, not just for art, but to keep darkness out of holy places. Its color, deep blue with gold flecks, was seen as a mirror of the night sky, calm, infinite, and incorruptible. Its shape, often rounded or carved into talismans, symbolized the celestial dome. To hold it was to hold the stars, and perhaps a fragment of eternity. Even now, healers call it the Stone of Truth. It's said to bring mental clarity, dissolve deception, and awaken the inner voice. The same qualities ancient mystics believed could drown out the voices of the damned. Because when your mind is steady, no shadow can whisper loud enough to deceive you. Lapis lazuli doesn't fight darkness with fear. It overpowers it with clarity, stillness, and truth. That's why it was placed in crowns, temples, and tombs alike, not as decoration, but as armor of the spirit. So if this blue flame of heaven surprised you, leave a comment below. Do you think stones can silence darkness? Or do they simply remind us how to listen to light? And here's a question for you to ponder. If the gods themselves had a gemstone, would it look like lapis lazuli or something even older? Number 5. Onyx, the shadow stone that bound demons in silence. They feared it, they worshipped it, and they whispered that whoever held it could speak with shadows or bind them. This is onyx, the gemstone that ancient civilizations believed could silence the voice of evil itself. A stone so dark it swallowed fire, and yet somehow kept the night under control. Onyx is a variety of chalcedony built in layers over thousands of years, black upon white, light upon dark, a geological yin and yang. It forms inside volcanic rock, where silica-laden water slowly deposits bands that fuse together like the growth rings of time itself. When polished, its surface becomes a perfect mirror, deep, reflective, and utterly still. No sparkle, no flash, just depth, endless and absolute. The ancients didn't see onyx as decoration. They saw it as containment. In ancient Persia and Egypt, it was used in temples to trap wandering spirits, sealing them in carved bowls or amulets that priests buried beneath the floor. The belief was simple. Darkness could be fought only with darkness. So they shaped onyx, the purest black stone, into seals, armor, and prayer rings to draw evil inward and keep it there. But the legend didn't end there. In Greek mythology, onyx was born from divine blood. One night, the goddess Venus fell asleep, and her son Cupid, mischievous as ever, trimmed her fingernails with his arrows. The clippings fell from the heavens and turned to stone upon touching the earth. That's why onyx means fingernail in Greek, and why the ancients believed it carried a fragment of the divine body, capable of channeling celestial power against corruption. In Rome, generals wore onyx during battle, not for luck, but to suppress fear and confusion. They believed the stone anchored the spirit, making warriors immune to enchantment or possession. In the Middle Ages, it became the exorcist's weapon of choice, ground into powder, mixed with oil, and marked on doors to seal out demonic entry. Its color, solid, opaque, absolute, represented a boundary no darkness could cross. Even today, onyx is seen as a stone of control and discipline. It doesn't shine to impress, it stands guard. Healers call it a stabilizer, grounding chaotic thoughts and dissolving panic. Energy practitioners say it absorbs emotional poison, transforming rage, fear, and jealousy into silence. It doesn't scream protection, it listens, and in that stillness, it wins. Under light, its surface gleams like ink turned to glass. A reminder that beauty doesn't always come from color, but from control. Perhaps that's why it still finds its way into rings of power, religious relics, and protective talismans worn quietly under clothing, never displayed, always working. So if you ever find yourself staring into a piece of onyx, don't expect reflection, expect recognition. Because this isn't a stone that shows you light. It shows you what you've learned to master in the dark. If that idea surprised you, leave a comment below. Do you think darkness can ever be used to protect against itself? Or does every shadow, no matter how controlled, eventually want to break free? And one more question. In a battle between onyx and obsidian, which stone do you think truly commands the night? Number 4. Carnelian, the blood of the gods that burned away evil. They say there was once a stone that bled when touched by light, a fiery gem buried beneath the sands of Egypt, glowing like liquid sunset, pulsing like the heartbeat of a sleeping god. Pharaohs wore it to face the underworld. Warriors carried it into battle, and exorcists claimed that no evil spirit could endure its flame. This is carnelian, the blood of the sun, the stone of divine fire, and the oldest symbol of courage against darkness. Carnelian is a form of chalcedony, colored by iron oxide, the same element that gives blood its color. That's why the ancients said it was alive. Its hues range from translucent tangerine to deep crimson, as if molten iron had cooled into glass. Under the sun, it doesn't sparkle. It glows, a warm, steady flame that seems to move beneath the surface, as though it still remembers the day it was born from volcanic fire. The world's most sacred carnelian once came from ancient Egypt, especially from the deserts near Cairo and the Red Sea. There it wasn't just mined, it was chosen. Priests selected stones by touch, believing the stone's pulse revealed its purity. They called it the blood of Isis, and believed it could protect the wearer's soul during the passage through the underworld. When worn over the heart, they said, its warmth repelled the shadows that sought to enter. In the Book of the Dead, carnelian amulets were placed on the mummies of priests and pharaohs, engraved with prayers that read, "May your heart be guarded against the forces of chaos." The belief was simple but powerful. Evil cannot dwell where the heart still burns bright. In Mesopotamia, it was carved into seals used by kings and generals. In Rome, it was worn by orators and senators, said to ignite confidence and silence deceit. And in India, Hindu mystics saw it as a purifier of karma, a gem that transmuted anger into vitality. Its shape, most often rounded or oval, symbolized the sun itself, eternal, unbroken, alive. Its color, vibrant red-orange, reflected what the ancients called living fire. Not destructive, but cleansing. To them, carnelian wasn't the flame that burned. It was the flame that purified. Even today, carnelian is known as the stone of courage. Energy practitioners believe it strengthens willpower and burns away emotional toxins. But the idea goes deeper than faith. It's symbolic of survival, because every culture that held it sacred faced the same truth. Fear is the oldest demon of all, and courage, the light that burns inside you, is the only exorcism that lasts. So the next time you see carnelian glowing in the sun, don't mistake it for just another pretty gem. It's a message from deep time, that within every drop of red lies the memory of resistance, the will to outshine the dark. If this stone's fire stirred something in you, leave a comment below. Do you believe courage itself can be a kind of protection, a shield stronger than any magic? And tell me this, if carnelian burns away evil, could fear itself ever be turned into light? Number 3, hematite, the stone that drinks blood to guard the living. They found it in the ground after battle, stones that shimmered black, slick, and heavy, as if they drunk the blood spilled into the soil. Soldiers called it the iron mirror of Mars. Priests called it the blood of the earth, and those who feared the unseen swore that no evil spirit could cross its shadow. This is hematite, the oldest talisman of strength, protection, and sacrifice. Hematite isn't just a mineral, it's a paradox. A stone that looks like polished steel, yet bleeds red when ground to dust. Its name comes from the Greek haima, meaning blood, because when sliced or powdered, it releases a deep crimson streak, the color of life itself. To the ancients, that was proof. This was no lifeless rock, but the Earth's own bloodstream, solidified by time. Formed through iron oxidation and pressure, hematite crystallizes in metamorphic layers and sedimentary beds across the world. From Egypt's eastern desert to Italy, England, and the mountains of Brazil. Its metallic gray-black surface reflects like a mirror, smooth enough to see your own eyes staring back. And that reflection was once considered sacred and dangerous. In ancient Egypt, hematite was carved into scarabs placed on the chests of mummies to protect their souls from devourers of the dead. It was said that demons feared their own reflection. So when they looked into hematite, they saw their true selves and fled in horror. In Babylon and Assyria, priests mixed powdered hematite with oil to draw sigils that locked curses inside clay tablets. The tablets were buried at city gates, a spiritual firewall, ensuring that no malevolent spirit could enter the kingdom. In Rome, gladiators rubbed hematite dust on their skin before combat, believing it would make their bodies as hard as iron and invisible to death. They even called it bloodstone armor, a fusion of flesh and metal. Meanwhile, in medieval Europe, alchemists kept hematite in exorcism kits. They claimed it could absorb dark energy the way iron draws lightning. Its color, metallic gray with deep red undertones, represented the dual nature of existence, life and death, flesh and spirit. Its shape, often rounded and weighty, gave a sense of gravity, literally and symbolically. To hold it is to feel grounded, heavy, immovable. It doesn't sparkle, it anchors. It doesn't deflect evil, it drinks it in, neutralizing it with the weight of the earth itself. Modern energy healers still see hematite as the ultimate grounding stone, a stabilizer that absorbs chaos, fear, and anger, then bleeds it harmlessly into calm focus. Scientists confirm it's strongly magnetic, which only deepens its mystique. The idea that it can pull negative energy out of the air, or the mind, like iron to a lodestone. But maybe that's the real secret. Not that hematite magically wards off demons, but that it teaches us how to hold our own darkness without fear. To ground it, not deny it. To stand our ground, even when the night grows loud. So if this stone's quiet power surprised you, leave a comment below. Do you think the strength to resist evil comes from the stone, or from the weight it reminds you to carry inside yourself? And here's something to ponder. If hematite drinks darkness, can it ever be full? Number 2, turquoise, the sky stone that spoke against evil winds. Long before gold, before diamond, before men even had names for the stars, there was a stone the color of the sky after rain. Nomads called it the eye of heaven. Pharaohs called it the breath of life. But among the desert shamans, one legend endured, that when evil spirits rode the wind, this blue stone could stop the storm. This is turquoise, the gem that bridged earth and sky and guarded souls from voices that came with the wind. Turquoise forms where the earth bleeds and the heavens seep in. In arid deserts where copper and aluminum meet ancient groundwater, minerals merge, creating veins of opaque blue and green that ripple like rivers through rock. The best of these come from Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, the American Southwest, Iran's Nishapur mines, and the sacred mesas of the Navajo Nation. It is one of the earliest gemstones humanity ever revered, not for beauty, but for protection. Its color, that shifting blue-green, was more than pigment. To the ancients, it was a living sky, captured inside stone. When worn, they believed it connected the soul to divine realms, creating a barrier no darkness could cross. In the heat of battle, warriors wore it as amulets on their chests. In tombs, pharaohs placed it on their hearts to speak their final words to the gods. In ancient Egypt, turquoise adorned the mask of Tutankhamun and the jewelry of queens. It wasn't decoration, it was defense. The priests said its sky blue essence carried the light of Ra, the only power strong enough to repel the black wind of chaos, the spiritual storms that brought sickness, madness, and despair. Across the ocean, in Native American traditions, the stone held a similar power. The Navajo and Apache believed turquoise came from tears of the sky mingling with the earth's dust. They called it Chalchihuitl, the fallen sky gem. Hunters carried it to protect from evil spirits, and shamans used it in rituals to speak with thunder, believing the gem could carry prayers upward and warnings downward. In Persia, kings set turquoise in palace domes so that heaven would bless their rule. They believed demons could not enter a room where the color of sky already lived. Physically, turquoise is soft, smooth to the touch, often veined with brown or black matrix, patterns that look like dried riverbeds. Spiritually, those veins were said to be channels where divine breath still flowed. It was never just a stone, it was a promise that the same sky you prayed to would hear you back. In modern metaphysical belief, turquoise remains a stone of truth, calm, and spiritual armor. Healers say it absorbs emotional toxins, stabilizes energy, and shields against manipulation. The new evil winds of the modern age. Even skeptics admit, when you hold it, it feels strangely alive. Cool at first, then warm, as if recognizing your pulse. Turquoise doesn't blind demons with light, nor does it fight darkness with rage. It simply reminds the spirit of its connection to something higher. And maybe that's why it still protects. Not through power, but through remembrance. The kind that says, you're never truly alone. If this stone's story stirred something in you, leave a comment below. Do you think protection comes from the stone, or from what it awakens inside us? And tell me this, if turquoise carries the sky, then what stone do you think carries the storm? Number 1, clear quartz, the light that demons cannot touch. They say the purest light isn't fire, it's silence. In the oldest temples, priests placed one crystal at the center of their altars. Not gold, not sapphire, but a piece of frozen clarity that glowed when no torch was lit. And when night fell and shadows crept close, that crystal was said to hum, as if the earth itself were holding its breath. This is clear quartz, the light that demons cannot touch. Quartz is the most abundant crystal on earth, and yet it may be the most misunderstood. While other stones draw power from color, quartz draws it from purity. Formed from silicon dioxide, it grows deep within the Earth's crust, inside molten veins that cool slowly into hexagonal prisms so perfect they look man-made. Each crystal is both mirror and lens, bending light, amplifying it, and in ancient eyes carrying divine vibration. To shamans, priests, and mystics, clear quartz was more than a mineral. It was a conduit. They believed it didn't just store energy, it remembered it. That's why in both Egyptian and Greek temples, clear crystals crowned altars where exorcisms were performed. They said it magnified prayers and shattered curses. In ancient Japan, priests of Shinto used quartz orbs in purification rituals, calling them suisho, water made eternal. The reflection of one's face in the crystal was thought to reveal hidden spirits, friend or foe. In Tibetan tradition, it was the soul stone, used to anchor consciousness during meditation or combat spiritual corruption. And among Native American tribes, quartz points were kept in medicine bundles to repel the dark breath of witchcraft, the invisible current that carried sickness and fear. Its color, or rather its absence of color, is what made it divine. To the ancient mind, only one element was both invisible and eternal: light. Quartz looked like light, held shape like light, and never faded. It was clarity, frozen. Its shape, six-sided and precise, was considered sacred geometry, a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. But its mystery deepens with science. Modern researchers discovered that quartz has piezoelectric properties, meaning it can generate an electric charge when pressure is applied. It powers clocks, radios, and even computers. So perhaps those old legends weren't wrong after all. Quartz does channel invisible forces. It doesn't just symbolize light, it carries it. That's why in legend, demons could not approach it. Not because it burned them, but because its vibration was too still. Quartz doesn't fight darkness with violence. It overwhelms it with resonance. It simply refuses to echo fear. Even now, collectors call it the master healer. Healers say it amplifies any energy, love or chaos, depending on the hand that wields it. In that way, it's a perfect mirror, pure, neutral, unjudging. The ultimate test, not of the world's energy, but of your own. So the next time you see a clear crystal catching the sun, remember, you're not just looking at a stone. You're looking at the universe's oldest conversation between light and shadow, and somehow it chose to speak through this. If that thought sent a chill down your spine, leave a comment below. Do you believe light can truly exist without darkness? Or is quartz proof that even purity carries a shadow within it? And here's the final question of this series. If clear quartz is the light that demons can't touch, then what stone do you think even angels fear to hold? We've walked through shadows and fire, from stones that drank blood to crystals that sang in silence. 10 gemstones, 10 witnesses of a truth older than language. That light doesn't always shine. Sometimes it waits. These stones were once feared, forgotten, buried under the weight of myth and time. But tonight, you've seen what they truly are. Messages written not in words, but in structure, vibration, and color. Obsidian taught us that darkness can protect. Amethyst reminded us that the mind can be its own guardian. Turquoise carried the breath of heaven, and clear quartz, pure, untouchable, showed us that the light never left. Every gem we touch was a fragment of the Earth's memory, a reminder that even when the world falls silent, the ground beneath us still speaks. It speaks of courage, reflection, and balance, of the eternal war between radiance and shadow. And somewhere in that balance, we find ourselves. So as this journey ends, take one thing with you. Maybe it was never the stones that defied darkness. Maybe it was you, choosing to see beauty where others saw only fear. If this series awakens something in you, leave a comment below. Tell me which stone spoke to you most deeply, or which one you'd want beside you when the lights go out. And if you believe others should see the world this way, share this video in the gem communities, in the places where curiosity still lives. Because every view, every word, every spark of wonder keeps these stories alive. This is not the end. It's only the first light in a greater discovery, the unseen chapters of the earth still waiting to be uncovered. I'm your guide. This has been Tops, where the earth remembers its secrets and light always finds its way back.